back to Dad Does Videos. So today I'm in my backyard. We're going to put together this cordless Black+decker trimmer or edger or weed whacker, whatever you want to call it. I like the cordless lawn tools. You don't have to mess around with gas and oil. Now, of course, I'm just doing this in my backyard, right? If you're somebody who actually has a business, you certainly want to go with those more high-powered models of things. If you're curious, the model number here is LST300. It's the 20-volt system as well. So we're going to go through the assembly, and I'll do a quick demo of how this thing works as well. Let's get into it. All right, so before we get started, we have to go through the requisite, hey, what's in the box kind of thing. So we've got the actual trimmer right here. We've got the guard that'll hook on to the bottom of the trimmer. We've got a handle, and we've got our battery pack right there. And of course, the cord that you use to charge that battery pack. All right, so first things first, what we're gonna do is grab our battery pack and then the end of the power cord, of course, not the end that you plug into the wall, and simply slip this over top like that, and then plug in the other side. What will happen is this light will turn green and start flashing. As you can see here, when it's charging, it is flashing. So go ahead and plug that into your wall and get that going. All right, so the second step, we are going to attach our guard right here to the bottom of our trimmer. And the way that we do that is have the bottom of your trimmer, so you see the spool right here facing you. We're gonna grab our guard, and this simply slides right on top of this tab that's sticking out right here. Just like that. You won't be able to get it all the way in because, as you can see here, there's a screw. Bring that up a little closer. There's a screw right there. We're gonna go ahead and unscrew that so then we can use that to secure the guard in place at the bottom of our trimmer. Okay, so after you have that screwdriver removed from the guard, we're just going to slide our guard all the way onto this gray tab at the bottom of our trimmer. Now you'll notice there's a little slot at the top of your gray portion of your trimmer. We're gonna make sure that this tab that's hanging off the guard slips right into this and kind of locks in place. So just press down. There we go, you heard that and you saw that. That means we're locked in place. I'm gonna grab our screw now and simply screw this in right into this hole in there, and then we'll move on to the next step. After you've got your guard secured in place with your screw right there, before we move along to the next, I guess, major step, there's a little piece of tape covering this section that's sticking up, and that's the section that kind of cuts your wire, your trimming wire. We just want to remove this covering, so go ahead and do that. One little tip here, as you're removing your tape or covering from this part of the guard, you can, to make it a little bit easier, just remove this whole piece right here. Just get your Phillips screwdriver, remove these two screws. This will pop right out, and then you can remove the tape and then just go ahead and reinstall that. All right, next step, we are going to attach our handle to our trimmer, and the handle simply goes on right here. What we have to do is simply squeeze these two buttons in and then place the handle over top of them like this. Now you know which way the handle should be positioned because you could see here we've got this side with some of these grooves and edges in there, and that matches our orange button on the side. So we are going to make sure this part of the handle goes on top of that part of the handle of the actual trimmer. So we're just gonna head and squeeze these together like this and then slip this over top. Like so. And then once the handle goes on top of the buttons, you can release the buttons with your other hand and then gently move the handle over top. And you'll know when you're ready because you can hear that click, and we are locked in place just like that. Now, of course, the next question is if you want to adjust the handle. If you don't want that locked in place right here, you simply push the orange button on this side, that grooved button, just like that. And then you can move this freely, and then when you let go, it'll lock in place wherever the handle is located. All right, we are nearly finished with the assembly of this. Just one more relatively minor detail, but on the bottom of your edger, you should have the wire that will cut the grass or weeds taped to the spool. You're just going to want to remove this piece of tape right here, or else guess what? You won't be trimming anything. All right, so one more thing before we get the battery back on our trimmer and go through kind of a live demo. You can adjust the height of your trimmer. So right now, as you can see, this is, and I'm not a tall person, but this is not nearly long enough for me to actually trim anything. So if you look at the guidance right here, all you have to do is unlock this piece, and then the trimmer itself will extend. So what do I mean by that is grab this, twist to the right, like so. This pops out like that. Extend it or pull it in as much as you want, and then twist this back to the left. And you know which way to go because there's a lock on this side. So if you're twisting it this way, it locks. If you're twisting it that way, it unlocks. And then you should be at a height that is comfortable for you, and feel free to play around with it. All right, so let's get that battery back on. So you remove the other side of the charging cord from your battery after it was charging, and then we're just gonna put it right in that slot on our trimmer. So this side, flip it over so it goes in like this, and you'll hear it click when it's locked into place. All right, so let's talk about how to actually use your weed whacker or your trimmer. First thing is, let's talk about how to turn this thing on, right? So you got up, you're ready to go, and you're like, well, where do I push? What do I use to turn this thing on? So you've got a trigger button right here, and you've got buttons up on the handle itself. There's one on this side, and if you flip it over, there's one on the other side. So whatever is comfortable to you, you just have to hold one of these in on each side along with the trigger to turn this on. So just for your viewing purposes, I'll hold a finger on top of this, and then I'll squeeze this trigger, and you'll hear the tool turn on. Now, for all intents and purposes, when I'm actually doing this, I'll probably use my thumb on the other side. It's just more comfortable for me. You can do whatever you'd like, as you can see. So let's get into actually how to use this. So we talked about how to turn this thing on. Let's talk about how to remove traditional weeds from a kind of a bigger area. You're not going to play with anything on the actual tool itself. We're just going to use it the way it's set up right now and just go over top of things. So I have some grass here, not weeds, but just some grass. That's all it is. Now, when you want to actually edge something and get a nice straight edge along, maybe it's a patio, maybe it's a mulch bed in front of me, we are going to use that same functionality that we showcased earlier when you wanted to extend your trimmer. We're going to unlock, like so, and then simply flip the whole thing over like this, and then lock in place. So now what you have is something that looks like this, and you can go along the edge of a certain portion of your landscape to make sure you have a nice straight edge with whatever feature you have going on. Additionally, we haven't talked about this yet, but there's a little kind of edging guard right here. It can move up and down if you want it, great. If not, you don't have to use it. But when you put it up, you just have to press up and lock it into place like that. It provides a nice guard so that it lets you know how far you are away from a certain area. So when that's down, it will run into things, so it won't let you go too deep into a certain portion of your mulch or your grass. Some people like it, some people don't. I prefer to not use it, but it's a nice tool to have. So again, to use that edging feature, same way, we just turn it on like we've done before and just go up and down. That's it, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for stopping by.